Hey, gang, I hope you enjoyed your Christmas, and I hope you got to spend some quality time with your family and your friends. And what I really hope is that Santa didn't leave you a lump of coal this year, did he? Maybe like he did last year? Surely not. Well, Connie and I are doing the same thing. I'm taking a little break from our regular guest episodes. As I did last week, I'm posting another recording from our Patreon channel from earlier this year. This is from a monthly section that we call You Can't Make This Shit Up. This is where I talk about some of the crazy and stupid things that criminals do. The things that make you want to scratch your head wondering what the heck were they thinking, or I can't believe someone actually did that. Hence the name, right? But the point is to give you something that just might make you laugh and realize your life could be much worse. These guys are unbelievable. Starting with the first 2025 episode here on Game of Crimes, that'll be on January 6th. I'll be back with more fantastic guests and their tales of bravery, commitment, perseverance, duty, leadership, danger, you name it, that list goes on and on. And you know, that's the whole purpose of the Game of Crimes podcast. Not for me to tell you someone else's story, but to introduce you to these heroes and let you hear about their adventures from those who actually lived them. I hope you enjoy this replay. Feel free to leave me your comments. And if you're watching and listening to this on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. This is Murph wishing everyone a safe, happy, and prosperous 2025. God bless. Hey, gang. Welcome back to the July edition of You Can't Make This Shit Up. This is so funny. Yeah. I tell you, you start looking at these stories, and before you know it, you've got 15 pages of stupid things that criminals do. So my wife thinks I'm crazy because she'll hear me in here going through editing things out and just making some notes, and I start laughing out loud, and she's like, who are you talking to? And it's, well, she knows I'm an idiot. But anyway, hey, before we get started, just want to remind you that we now have our weekly episodes on YouTube under Game of Crimes Podcast, the video as well as the audio. So Morgan had always been posting the audio on there for quite some time, but now you can either listen to it or see it on YouTube. And if you do me a favor and click on subscribe and hit the like button. And if you got any comments, let me know. Just another way you can stay in touch with me here. I do read your comments. I know I'm a little slow to respond sometimes, but believe me, I work every day on the podcast. So here we go. Let's go with you. The July 2024 edition of You Can't Make This Shit Up. And we're going to start off up north in Alaska, talking about a bank robber. An Alaskan bank robber who was caught immediately after his heist while counting his loot outside the targeted branch was nabbed again. And guess this, trying to rob the same bank. Now, this genius's name is Michael Gale Nash, 49 years old. He was swiftly taken into custody for carrying out the failed scheme that closely resembled his fumble from 6 years earlier. Man, some people are really slow learners, aren't they? The botched 2018 burglary earned him a spot on at least one dumbest criminals list. You think? And now he's made ours. After he slipped a teller a demand note with his name and birth date scrawled on the back. Duh. Clad in black jeans, black boots, a black jacket, and a black hat. Boy, he didn't stick out, did he? Nash allegedly sauntered up to the First National Bank in Anchorage at 9 a.m. and began violently pulling on the front doors. Employees tried to tell Nash, hey, talking to him through the glass, the bank's not going to open for another hour. We don't open till 10. But Nash stood his ground, and he passed the note through the locked doors to a bank supervisor. You know what the note said? This is a robbery. Put the money in a bag, and I will walk out. This is a robbery. God help us all. Okay. It doesn't appear that Nash included his personal information on the note this time around, though, so maybe he did learn from his first mistake. Well, the supervisor immediately yelled for the bank door to be locked via a secondary locking mechanism, and of course they called 911. But Nash, being the rocket scientist he is, he continued loitering in front of the branch. I guess he was waiting for that bag of money. If they didn't open the door, how was he going to get the bag? But I guess that's another question. A nervous and stuttering Nash allegedly rejected a bank security officer's plea for the robber to leave and instead encouraged him to call police. And that's Nash telling him, go ahead and call the cops. When the cops arrived, Nash peacefully submitted and was transported to an Anchorage Police Department precinct. While he was being put in handcuffs and while he was in the back of the patrol car, Nash made several excited utterances, that's in quotes,
that it was not his first time robbing a bank. FBI Anchorage ran a records check, which revealed that Nash had been arrested, charged, and convicted for robbing the same First National Bank in 2018. Okay, although he followed a near identical MO, modus operandi, or method of operation, the recent morning holdup was not nearly as effective as 2018 heist. In his first robbery, Nash made off with a whopping $400 in a bag after handling the teller a note on a completed form for affordable housing reading, "This is a holdup. Please put the money they want in the bag. God help us." After just a few minutes, Nash was spotting it sitting outside the bank, counting the bills. The idea of the getaway just, hasn't entered his mind yet. For the first crime, he was given a 366-day prison term, so that's 1 year, 1 day, followed by 5 years of supervised release. Now, he could be sentenced up to 20 years in prison. Okay. Nash had several other convictions on his rap sheet, including stealing personal property in 1993 and forgery in 2000. And he also received a court-martial in 96 for distributing drugs. What a frickin' loser. I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious this guy just wanted to go back to prison. Maybe he couldn't make it on the outside. At least in prison, he gets, what they call it, 3 hots in a cot. So you get 3 meals a day and a place to sleep. Maybe it's a testament to our society nowadays. I don't know. But at least he didn't want to commit suicide by law enforcement. They didn't find a weapon on him. Okay, next story. This is in my home state of Florida now. And this guy, here's another rocket scientist. This is one of them I was laughing out loud about. A Florida man, and this is just so you'll know, this is from our favorite Polk County Sheriff, Grady Judd. A Florida man wanted by the cops tried to throw them off his trail by placing a big sign outside his house reading, and this is quoted, "Johnny Yates does not live here." It didn't work. Yates, 41, who was wanted by the Polk County Sheriff's Office on aggravated battery, false imprisonment, and tampering charges, he was eventually locked up. Deputies showed up at Yates' Lakeland home at around 2:45 p.m. after getting a tip that he was holed up inside. When the deputies arrived, they noticed a note written on a dry erase board in front of the window that said, "Johnny Yates does not live here." Wow, you think a dry erase board, that's not enough to throw the cops off? The deputies questioned someone leaving the house who confirmed that Yates was inside, but after surrounding the house for an hour and calling for the fugitive to come out, cops had to take it to the next level. And a lot of this is Sheriff Judd posted this on Facebook, so you can go back and look up some of his old posts and you can read about this. A lot of this is what's quoted from Facebook. And this is a quote. "Enough was enough, and the surrender smoke was dispensed inside the house, and four people exited the house, but no Johnny." Now, the deputies, they called out some more, but still no response from Johnny, so a second helping of surrender smoke was put inside the home to waft around a little bit. I've never heard tear gas called surrender smoke, but that's a good name for it. Still no response from Johnny, though. Well, here you go. This will get your attention. Finally, deputies and K-9 Dexter entered the house and located Johnny, who was hiding in a modified chest of drawers. I don't know how big Johnny is, but man, it must not have been too big, huh? So poor old Johnny was arrested and taken to jail. Now, those 4 people, the office said, and this is from the sheriff also, the office said the 4 people who were initially holed up in the house with Yates were also dealt with. And he quotes, in regards to the 4 people who were not cooperating with deputies, each one received a parting gift, a charge of resisting and an all-expense-paid trip to Grady Judd's bed and breakfast. You got to love the guy, right? And I hope to get him on as a guest on our regular podcast at some time. I think he would be a hoot. I have a lot of respect for that man. He stands up for what he thinks is right, and he continually gets reelected over in Polk County, so he's taking care of business. He's doing his job. It'd be nice if all politicians would do that, wouldn't it? Oh, but we're not supposed to get political on here. Oh, this is Patreon. We can get political on here if we want to. Anyway, lots of respect for Sheriff Judd and you people over there, guys. You did a fantastic job. All right, so now this one was very interesting. This is about a Las Vegas rapper who gets arrested after he allegedly confesses to a murder in one of his music videos. Man, I hate to be redundant, but how stupid can you be? Okay, so the story says a Nevada rapper was arrested on murder charges after implicating himself in a music video by sharing details of the crime that only a killer could have known. That's according to police. Ken Juan McDaniel, he's 25 years old, was picked up on August 29th, and this is 2023, after police said lyrics in one of his recently posted music videos included details about a 2021 murder that had not been publicly released. And this is according to the Las Vegas Police Department. In his music, this verbiage is taken off of his rap or music or whatever you call it. I guess rap. So this is a quote. "I be the reason why he's dead. We still taunt him when he die. Not the reason he's dead. So celebrate the reason why his mama cry." And that was some of the lyrics off the video for his song Fady Free. Okay. And the police said that's what implicated him. Here's more lyrics. "Parked the car, double back on feet, the smartest way to slide, drove in, double lock yo man, make sure you get yo bod." As they say, that's another lyric linked to the murder. I'm not real sure what he said there. And in the video shows that which saw a man gunned down in his apartment after an apparent argument. In the video, which depicted McDaniel and his cohorts' faces transforming into demonic skeletal visages, and I saw the pictures of them. That's pretty scary. The rapper also allegedly acted out movements that police said were consistent with evidence at the scene. The facts gathered during the investigation were obtained separately from the music video, according to police. The music video further validated the results of the investigation. McDaniel's video was first uploaded to YouTube, in mid-July 2023, and a detective found it shortly thereafter. Detectives noted that Detectives noted that the music video bore a sufficient level of similarity to the details of the murder. This includes the fact that Ken Juan confessed to the murder in his lyrics. Details provided by Ken Juan in his music video were not released to the public and would not be common knowledge. What is wrong with some people? I mean, first of all, you're glorifying the fact that you killed somebody, and it doesn't say what the motive was here for the murder. But then you put that into a rap song and think nobody's going to... I mean, do you think that only people that listen to rap are people that approve of murder? Just unbelievable what people do. It's like some of the other stories we've had on here where robbers will go in and rob a large amount of cash, and then they'll go on video holding that and holding their gun and showing their teeth and all the weird crap that goes on. But man, some of these guys just take this to a whole new level of stupidity. We used to kid around in law enforcement when you're locking these people up, especially in the drug world, that a lot of these people are what we call low-hanging fruit, easy to get to. I think this is proof of it right here. Dude, you deserve to be in prison for what you did, and then maybe a double prison just because of how stupid you are. Wow. Okay. Now I like this next story. This is somebody on their toes, and the would-be robber, he didn't get what was coming to him, but he didn't get what he came there for either. So this is I believe it's in Nebraska. So a would-be thief's plans for a jewelry heist were thwarted on a Saturday night when he was chased out of the Nebraska store at gunpoint by the owner, and on his toes, U.S. Army vet. All right, brother, good job. He says, "I typically carry a firearm on my waist, even after hours." His name's Garrett Petticord. And he says, "It's just one of those things. You get your keys, you get your wallet, you get your firearm." Now, Petticord was working late, burning the midnight oil in the back of I won't mention the name of the jewelry store in Omaha, when he noticed a commotion on his surveillance screens. So there's cameras all over this place. The thrilling footage shows the burglar, dressed head to toe in black, hurl a rock through the shop's window and crawl through the broken glass, expecting to be alone amongst the gems. Surprise! That's when Petticord loudly stormed into the showroom with his gun drawn, catching the thief standing over a case with some of his most valuable pieces inside. Caught literally in the act, the jewel thief was almost comically holding the tool over the glass, Petticord recalled, a hilarious moment that was captured by security footage. Now he says, "Hey, MFer," and you can fill in the M and the F there. Petticord shouted at him, drawing the man's eyes toward the barrel of the gun, a sight scary enough to send him scrambling back through the shattered window. Can you imagine that? This is like a wild animal. And when you surprise them and all they want to do is get away, that's what this guy wanted to do. He didn't want to get fired up, and he didn't want to get shot in the ass, I guess. While proud that he was able to defend himself and his livelihood, Petticord was disappointed that he had to use his weapon. This is a man that knows how to handle a gun, and he knows the responsibilities that go along with it. He didn't shoot the guy. He didn't feel the threat. The guy did not pose a threat to him, and so therefore he realized, I can't shoot this guy. And that's what you're supposed to do. Petticord says, my use of one is the same as any of the other tools I have back there. He's a goldsmith, by the way. And it's also pointing at his pliers and his cutters and his drills and all the other tools that he uses. And he finished up saying they all serve a purpose, but this is the one tool that I hope I would never have to use. The business owner, who spent 3 years deployed in Afghanistan, so he's a military veteran, said his military training came in handy for the incident. Thank my lucky stars that I put so much thought and time and repetitive training and practice into how to responsibly carry a firearm. That's per Mr. Petticord. The Omaha Police Department could not immediately confirm whether or not the would-be jewel thief was captured. And that occurred in May of this year, so I don't know. Man, but we all know the Second Amendment. That's a huge point of controversy amongst a lot of people throughout the United States. Should you carry a gun? Should you not carry a gun? Should you even be allowed to own a gun? You guys probably know where I fall on that spectrum. But when you carry a gun, there's a massive responsibility that goes along with it, right? So, not a big fan of assault weapons. I can see where they're a lot of fun to shoot because I've had the opportunity to shoot a lot of them. But if you're going to carry a weapon, you might want to get some insurance and some training, because if you ever use it, they're going to sue your butt off. That's just the way it is. And there's an awful lot of people out there with guns now. Okay, let's get back to having some fun here. This one is in Oakland, California. This was in January this year. Wild video shows the moment a group of thieves in Oakland yanked an entire bank ATM out of the ground, hitched it to the back of a van with a rope, and then dragged that puppy while speeding down a road, sending sparks flying through the air. It sounds like one of those movies, Fast and Furious, where they were dragging that big bank vault down the street. The footage was captured by a bystander who couldn't believe his eyes. 2 ATMs, including the one dragged by the van, were stolen Sunday from separate locations in the California city struggling with the rise in property crime, according to Oakland police. The automated teller machine in the video was stolen from the outside of a Bank of America shortly before 7:30 a.m. Multiple individuals used tools to rip out the ATM before taking off with it, as shown in the video. The witness who filmed the wild heist said he saw 3 or 4 people involved in the theft. The other ATM was stolen from a nearby business on Alameda Avenue about an hour earlier. On Tuesday, Oakland police announced that they had arrested one suspect in connection with the Bank of America robbery. They took Anthony Pearson into custody the same day of the thefts and are continuing to search for the other assailants. Oh, that's I had a payphone business, small little payphone business, when I came back from South America for not very long, for maybe not even a year. And that was in North Carolina. And it's people put quarters in there to make phone calls. This is back before cell phones became popular. And almost every time I'd go over to check on the phone, which was like every other week, I would find where they had broken the handset off, or I would find where they tried to pry the money box out of this phone system. And you'd even find the tips of screwdrivers that had broken off in there, because these phone systems are pretty sturdy. But what are they going to get? $40-$50 in quarters? Wow. Now, an ATM, I'm thinking there's probably tens of thousands of dollars in those, but it's pretty conspicuous when you're driving down the road and something's following you with sparks flying out everywhere, isn't it? Again, that's why they made our list here on you can't make this shit up. Oh, and this next guy, now this is a pervert story, okay? So just preparing you. An armed and dangerous transient thief had been breaking into the homes of the women he was stalking, and even took the time to rearrange one of his victims' furniture. And this is in Idaho. Jacob Smart, not real smart, 38, was named Thursday as the man they had been hunting over the last several months for carrying out a string of burglaries in Boise. The looter was caught on multiple surveillance videos nonchalantly walking onto his victim's properties. One time, feeling so comfortable, he stopped and pet the homeowner's dog as it followed him around the yard. Wow, that's a good watchdog. I believe that should be a house dog, not a watchdog, right? Smart, it's hard to even call it. Let's just call it Jerk. Jerk also forced his way inside on several occasions by kicking down the doors, the video show. Once inside his victims' homes, Jerk allegedly nabbed their underwear. Okay. That's why I say pervert. Debit and credit cards, weapons, and more. In at least one instance, Jerk did some redecorating, according to cops. In one burglary, the suspect moved personal items around in the home. I guess he thought it looked better the way he did it rather than the way that the victim had the home set up. Of course, he doesn't live there, and he's probably never going to return. In another burglary, the suspect entered the home while the victims were asleep. Now, this is going to a whole different level. He stole house keys and was then seen on surveillance video later attempting to re-enter the house, but the victims had already changed the locks. Well, good for you, victims. And that right there is a learning point in this silliness that we're involved with today. Is if you are burglarized, man, that is the first thing you do is change those locks. And think about this: you're sleeping, and what if you woke up? How would you react? I'm pretty sure how I'd react. I'd probably crap my pants, but then Mr. Glock or Mr. Smith & Wesson is going to be in my hand, and we're going to have a discussion. Okay, anyway, Jerk is accused of carrying out five burglaries in Boise between August and October of last year, and may have continued his heist beyond state lines. Multiple stolen goods, including several from the Boise victims, were recently recovered when he was picked up in Oregon, but Jerk fled while cops were attempting to place him under arrest. Oh, come on, guys, you can do better than that. Jerk is still on the lam and is aware of the $500,000 nationwide extraditable warrant that has been put out on him. He's considered armed and dangerous. Smart is described as being 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing about 200 pounds, with brown eyes and brown hair. Law enforcement believes he traveled recently through the Pacific Northwest. Wow. So that one, it was funny to start with. I wonder what he does. Well, I don't even want to know what he does with the underwear. That's, okay. Let's move on here. Now, I was also going through things looking for stories, and I found some of these older stories, but they're still good ones. Okay, we're in Chicago. This is in 2015. A suspect who allegedly robbed a Domino's delivery man accidentally shot himself in the finger while he was eating the stolen pizza. Boy, you talk about karma. You got to love that, right? Police said Armando Colon, 19, and Dion Reese, 16. That's kind of unusual as they identified the 16-year-old. These guys ordered 2 pizzas to be delivered to the 3500 block of West Dickens Avenue. According to the assistant state attorney, when the delivery man arrived with the food, Reese threatened him with a gun. So Reese is a 16-year-old, so that explains why he's identified in this. Both Colon and Reese rifled through the man's pockets, took $40 to $50 in the food, and fled the scene. For $40 or $50. Threaten a man's life, anybody's life, for $40. That's pretty low. Officials said Colon was eating the stolen pizza and he accidentally shot himself while he was handling the gun used during the robbery. There's so many stupid sayings come to my mind when I just think about that scene. What a moron. Someone called 911 and Colon was taken to an area hospital to be treated for his injury. He has a scar from the graze wound on a finger on his left hand. Well, stupid. I guess maybe if it hit him somewhere else, he wouldn't be part of the criminal justice system anymore. Police said Colon and Reese were also behind another robbery of a Chinese food delivery man this month. Both were charged for the 2 robberies and appeared in bond court on Thursday. And Reese was charged as an adult. As Carr described Colon's misfortune before a judge, several onlookers in the courtroom softly chuckled. We're not softly chuckling. We're just outright laughing at your ass. It's not like we're laughing. We're not laughing with you. We're laughing at you. Okay. Back into California in the Santa Clarita area, a bumbling robbery suspect, and I'm sorry, this is in 2014. A bumbling robbery suspect dropped his wallet containing his ID while running off with a woman's purse in Santa Clarita. Another rocket scientist, right? Sheriff's officials received a call about a robbery at a parking lot. The victim, a 35-year-old female, told investigators that she was loading groceries in her car when a man approached her from behind and stole her purse. Not telling you what to do, but I try to teach my family, always be aware of your surroundings. Keep your head on a swivel. It's easy to get distracted with loading groceries. I do the same thing. It's something you have to do repeatedly to teach yourself to do it. So please, just keep all these stories in mind, okay? Might help you out sometime. One thing that, and I'm interrupting the story here just to tell you this little bit learning point. One of the ways that you can thwart some would-be robbers is making eye contact with them, because that just unnerves people. I don't know why, but it does. Our oldest daughter, Monica, when she was going to school in Richmond in college, she was at Virginia Commonwealth University. Her and a friend were out, and they felt like this guy kept following them in a car to different places they go to, and then he would come inside. And so finally she just stopped and turned around and stared at him. He left the store, went and got in his car, and she didn't see him again after that. And then she went and reported it to a local police officer. So believe it or not, and she's 4'11". She's a feisty little thing, but it does work. Now, I'm not telling you to confront that person, but once you look them in the eye, then they feel like, I think that they feel like that, oh crap, you can identify me now. So let's get back to the story. As the woman chased the robber, woo, tough lady, she and another witness saw the suspect's wallet fall out from his pants pocket. The wallet contained the suspect's ID. Officials identified the suspect as 35-year-old Ishmael Soto, otherwise known as Jackass. Upon further investigation, authorities found that Soto may also be involved in a separate, unrelated incident involving criminal threats and battery that occurred in the Canyon Country in September. So this was way back in 2015. Detectives are now searching for Soto, who they believe may be living in Sylmar or North Hollywood. You know, when I was a city cop in Bluefield, West Virginia, this was back in the 70s. I was on patrol, was going through an alleyway and saw a back window knocked out, like a window that would go into a basement of a business, and went over to peek inside before we'd called K9 in to do a little search. And lo and behold, there's a wallet laying there right there on the ground. It was in the snow. It was wintertime. But that alone, the burglar had already gone in and left. And just finding that evidence outside the window like that is circumstantial. It was not enough to charge the guy. And, you know, honestly, all these years later, I don't even remember if the guy was ever charged or not. But, you know, every time we saw him, we looked at him in a different manner from that point forward, and we knew who he was. Okay, now we're down in Alabama in 2014, a place called Hueytown, Alabama. And the police are calling this case a case of revenge. Now, this guy, his failed journey to weight loss could be to blame for a string of Subway restaurant robberies in Alabama. Police say the suspect apparently got his hopes up after seeing commercials of other success stories. Remember that Jared diet they had there on Subway, where that guy ate all the Subway sandwiches and lost a ton of weight? Well, that's what this guy was hoping to do too. Zachary Torrance, 18 years old, was arrested Friday after he allegedly robbed 4 Subway restaurants over 4 days. He stated to the detective that he had attempted the Jared diet and it didn't work for him. This is according to the police chief there. He felt like he should get his money back. Well, did you go and ask, or he just went in and took it with a gun? Subway spokesman Jared Fogle lost 245 pounds in 1 year after eating a steady diet of Subway sandwiches. Police say when the focus on footlongs didn't pay off for Torrance, he targeted sandwich artists across the Birmingham area. Birmingham's a pretty cool town, but it's also a rough town. It's pretty dangerous. According to the chief, my first reaction to that is that this is crazy. It's a crazy thing to say because there has to be something, because all he did was rob Subways. He wasn't doing anything else. He thought just eating a sandwich was going to make you lose weight. Torrance, who weighs over 200 pounds, is behind bars now on $250,000 bond at Jefferson County Jail. Again, this was 2014. The alleged jilted dieter may have missed the part of the Subway commercial that states, Jared believes in an active lifestyle, including lots of walking, or something about results may vary. Well, there's the key. So, you're eating a little healthier, you're probably reducing your consumption, and you're getting exercise. That's why Jared lost the weight. Torrance was nabbed after surveillance video was posted on the Hueytown Police Department's Facebook page. In the video, Torrance can be seen walking into a Subway restaurant, pulling out a gun, and demanding that employees open the cash register. The footage was viewed by 150,000 people in 24 hours. Mr. Torrance, you got to pick another line of work when you get out of prison. You're not going to make it as a robber. A man spotted Torrance shopping for a gun holster at a local Walmart and alerted police. The man said, all of a sudden, he turned the curb and I was looking for a gun holster. He recognized Torrance because of his orange shoes, which sound like prison shoes, which he also wore while robbing a Subway restaurant. That's just armed robbery 101 teaches you not to wear flashy things. Torrance could be facing additional charges in the 3 other suspected robberies. Well, I would certainly hope so. Sad thing is, he probably got some kind of plea agreement, and I'm pretty sure he's out of jail by now. Wonder what he's doing now. All right. Next story, we're heading to Ohio. We're going to talk about another rocket scientist. We're in Franklin County, Ohio, and this one is in December of 2015. So it starts out by saying, many of us have posted things on social media that we have lived to regret. For some, it resulted in a spat with relatives or friends with hurt feelings. But an Ohio man is facing serious consequences after a Facebook posting that landed him in handcuffs. The Franklin County Sheriff said Dustin Ritgers, 28 years old, posted a 12-second video on a personal Facebook page with no privacy settings of himself taking a swig of alcohol while behind the wheel of a car. Now, this guy, he looks into the camera while music plays in the background, then raises his eyebrows, takes a swig from a partially covered bottle. He doesn't say anything. As the clip ends, the camera is flipped around to show his hand with only one finger raised to guide the steering wheel as a wiper moves across the vehicle's windshield. So let's examine that real quick. We got a guy drinking and driving who is not a rocket scientist. He's holding the bag and the bottle in one hand, and he's got one finger on the steering wheel, driving in an impaired condition, and it's raining. Okay. Is there anything else we could throw in there? There is, but that seems to be quite enough. So the sheriff said you've got a distracted driver and a drunk driver just exponentially causing danger everywhere he went. Even some of the Facebook friends comments were like, dude, really? Well, Ritgers, being the rocket scientist he is, he responds, hey, I'm a good driver, don't worry. And he goes on to comment, I've got one finger on the steering wheel, Facebooking while it's raining. I am good. I am a pro. So what he just said there, he's typing out the message on Facebook while he's drinking, driving in the rain with one finger on the steering wheel. The sheriff said we need to remember that Ritgers is typing all of this while he's driving. Well, that's what I just said. He's got his hands full when he's trying to drive. He's drinking and he's paying attention to his phone. I mean, I think we are very fortunate this didn't end with some type of tragedy. And I agree with you, Sheriff. Unbelievable. A tipster warned deputies that Ritgers was drinking and driving. Deputies tracked the suspect's car down and pulled him over on State Route 665. The suspect pleaded not guilty Tuesday in Franklin County Municipal Court on 5 misdemeanor charges, including operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs and having an open container in the vehicle. The sheriff said Ritgers' Facebook post is evidence that could help prove those charges. Oh, yeah. He laid it right out there for you. The sheriff said, hey, there's no privacy issues going on here. He posted it. He confessed. He gave them the evidence. But now Ritgers' family, they say, hey, don't be too quick to judge now. He recently suffered an unspeakable tragedy. And, of course, they didn't tell us what that was because it's unspeakable. But, I mean, of all the things we've been through in life, that's the first thing you think to do is get in your car, drink and drive with one finger on the wheel in the rain, and type on your Facebook page. Somehow that just doesn't seem like it would be what I would do. His family says he's really smart. He's just going through a lot. That was from his girlfriend, Amber Booth. Amber, you could do better. It's just too much for him to handle. Well, take his damn keys away. If he wants to drink, let him stay home and drown his sorrows that way, not threaten and risk everybody else who happens to be out and doing nothing wrong. Now, Ritkers, this wasn't his first time. He's faced DUI charges twice before, in 2007 and 2011. Court records indicate that he pleaded guilty earlier this year in a separate impaired driving case stemming from a September 2014 stop by state troopers. Dude, we all go through tragedies in life. You deal with them, but you don't go out and endanger other people. It was funny until it got to that end of that part. And you may feel a little sympathy for him. Quite honestly, I don't. You've heard me say before that we all make decisions in life, and with every decision we make comes consequences. Well, this guy made a decision, and now he's living with the consequences. I also found that it's not only stupid criminals in the United States. We've got some overseas. So this is something new we're going to go over. We're going to go to a few different countries around the world and find out about their dumbass criminals. We're going to start off in Australia. I think we're going to do this. No, am I doing this No, I'm not in alphabetical order. Just so happens this first one I read. So in Australia, a would-be thief who broke into a Melbourne bakery found, for all his troubles, he'd trapped himself in a locked storeroom. He was captured on CCTV stacking containers, chairs, and bins in a desperate attempt to climb up to the roof. Cameras rolled for 30 minutes as he attempted to scale the pile, crashing to the ground at least 5 times. The would-be burglar eventually freed himself and handed himself in. I missed those last few words when I was reviewing these. He handed himself in. He turned himself in. You know what? He probably needed some kind of medical attention after falling off all that big pile of chairs and bins and tables and stuff that he piled up there. I guess, well, in Australia, they are nice people. I've been down there a few times, and everybody's been great. Okay, another story from Australia. One thief got more than he bargained. Oh, you're going to love this. One thief got more than he bargained for when he reached into the window of a parked car and snatched a bag. The bag belonged to a professional snake handler and catcher, Brad McDonald. Inside was a highly venomous snake McDonald had just captured from an underground car park in Sydney. Gotcha. Boy, would that make you crap your pants? It would me. I'm scared to death of snakes. But how appropriate. Oh, I guess be careful what you ask for, right? Now, let's go down to Brazil. 2 burglars rifling through an apartment were disturbed by police and jumped out of a window with a stash of jewelry. Soon afterwards, the police picked up 2 men acting very suspiciously. While in custody, one man became ill and needed hospital treatment. X-rays showed up the problem. 2 rings, a pendant, and a necklace, all swallowed in haste. After swift surgery, the apartment owner identified the items and police did the rest. Well, that's pretty desperate, isn't it? That you swallow the jewelry like that. Anything to keep from getting caught, I guess. Okay. But it just shows you that criminals in Brazil are just as stupid as the criminals here in the United States and in Australia. Another story from Brazil. One local thief had high standards but poor follow-through. When Wellington Silva Oliveira robbed a cook, taking his wallet and watch, he was upset to find the watch wasn't quite what he wanted. Well, I guess he's got standards. So he kept the money but returned the watch, claiming it was a fake. While his victim hurried to report the mugging to police, Oliveira stopped to play soccer in a nearby field where he was still playing when police arrived and arrested him. I swear. Oh, you just can't make this shit up, can you? Okay, now we're off to the UK, United Kingdom. Our first story is a 32-year-old man was jailed for 3 years when he was found hanging upside down from a window after trying to break into a terrace house in Kent. Having been caught hanging literally upside down from the window of the house he was attempting to break into, he was left with little choice but to admit his crime and take his punishment on the chin, according to police. Well, I guess he could have let go and fallen, but who knows how far it will be. That was good. Next one from UK. This dumb criminal left behind a vital clue at a house he'd broken into, his mobile phone with a photo of himself on it. He was recognized by a detective investigating the theft. At first, the thief claimed he had lost his phone and someone else was using it, but this excuse fell through when the stolen goods were found at his home. Oops! The 44-year-old was sentenced to 160 hours of community service? Really? That's all? He did a house burglary and all he got was 160 hours of community service? Come on, guys. Hey, you guys, oh. Well, I guess maybe that's one of the reasons they call us ugly Americans, but we expect people to pay penance for the crimes they commit, right? Okay. Now, this one is a little strange. It's a little bit longer. Wanted man Wayne Parker, he's a fugitive. He successfully evaded authorities for nearly a year after committing up to $1 million in fraud. But then the farmer from Suffolk, England, signed up for a dating app. Now, he's a fugitive on the lam, and he signs up for a dating app using his real information. Rocket scientist. Cops were shocked to see the convicted criminal crop up after Parker created a profile on Match.com. The 35-year-old scammer was found guilty last October of owing a whopping $970,000 to suppliers. He had failed to appear in court in February for sentencing and was being hunted by police to no avail, until the on-the-lam Lothario decided to start looking for love. In all the wrong places, right? Dun-dun-dun. Since going on the run, Mr. Parker is known to have been using the Match dating website, according to the Suffolk County spokesperson. He has also been hiring cars in a bid, it is believed, to avoid detection by police. So he's using Uber, Lyft, taxi cabs, whatever. Mr. Parker has repeatedly said he would return to Suffolk to face the consequences of his action, but so far he has failed to do so. He knows it's only a matter of time before the law catches up with him, and we strongly urge him to hand himself in sooner rather than later. Well, the frisky farmer was previously prosecuted, that's hard to say, for posing a serious risk of spreading bovine tuberculosis. He had failed to dispose of farmed animal remains appropriately and was found to be moving large quantities of cattle without following the proper process, as well as not keeping adequate records of the cattle. In February 2020, Parker was handed a 12-week jail sentence and an 18-month suspension from doing business. Wow, well, that's better than getting 160 hours of community service for committing a house burglary, isn't it? And you think about that house burglary, where is it we're supposed to feel the safest? That's in our homes, isn't it? So when somebody violates that, community service just doesn't get it for me. Okay, now let's hop over to Croatia. Modern technology foiled this felon when he and a mate were found with 103 grams of marijuana in their car. In the United States, that's personal use, I think. While they were at the station for questioning, a third man sent a text message to one of their mobile phones saying, "Water my weed, please." The police went to his place and found a small backyard plantation. The driver was convicted of possession and with the intent to deal in drugs. His two friends were let off due to a lack of evidence. See, personal use. But still, the stupid things criminals do. In Germany, one wannabe thief had obviously watched too much TV. When the 29-year-old tried to break into his neighbor's flat by using a bank card, he woke up the owner. In the thief's haste to get away, the card snapped in half. This is Murphy's Law. Leaving behind the name and account details. It couldn't have been the other end of the card, right? The victim called up and read us the details off the card, police said. When we got to the burglar's house, the other half of his bank card was on his kitchen table. Oh, you just got to love it when they do it to themselves, right? Oh. And this is the last story I got for us today. We're over in South Africa. A policeman responding to a burglary report at a house in Johannesburg sat down on the couch to take a statement, not realizing a burglar was hiding underneath it. The homeowner looked down and saw the burglar lying flat on his stomach, half under and behind the couch. His head was right below the policeman's legs. The policeman jumped off the couch and the man was arrested after handing back stolen jewelry and a digital camera. The police were so chuffed they were in seventh heaven that they caught him. The whole thing was so bizarre, said the homeowner. Man, you talk about getting caught in the act. The guy didn't even have time to get away. But that was a ton of stories here. It just, oh my goodness, it's like there's no shortage of these stupid criminal stories out here, and you really can't make this shit up. We used to say that all the time. If silly things would happen in law enforcement and your investigations, and you'd kind of look at each other, and if the public only knew, was the statement that you heard most often, just because nobody would really believe it. But anyway, that brings us to a close here for July 2024's edition of You Can't Make This Shit Up. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you folks continuing to subscribe here to Patreon. I hope you enjoy the silly stories. I know it's silliness, but I think it's always fun to laugh at the criminals, not at someone else's expense. That's not what I'm saying. But these guys, they do things that it just seems to boggle the idea of common sense. Well, of course, we all know common sense is not common, don't we? But it's fun to read about these guys. There are occasionally learning points that we can go over a little bit, like being aware of your surroundings at all times. And that's really true. So thank you guys so much. I'm working on more things to come out. Hope you're enjoying seeing the interviews we do now on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. Hit the subscribe and the like button. Leave me your comments. Let me know what you think about You Can't Make This Shit Up and all the other things we do on Patreon. Just as a heads up, I am putting together the notes now to do it may be at the highest level. It's one of the random surprises about the rescheduling of marijuana in the United States from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3. And also want to talk a little bit about CBD on that and some of the scams that are going on out there. So that should be coming out here in the next few days, I hope. Well, let's just say in the next week or two. But I will try to keep going with these things. I'm still working on getting the 911, What's Your Emergency episodes back up and running. I haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. I've got an idea. Waiting on Morgan to come back from vacation. He's hanging out down in Mexico again, down in Cancun. So you can't mess with a man when they're on vacation, right? He earns his time off. He works hard. So anyway, that does it for this episode. Thank you again for following, and thank you again for listening to the biggest, baddest, most dangerous game of all, the game of crimes. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.